Okay, so whether you have been following my platform for years or a couple of months or a couple of weeks, or this is the first video that you are seeing on my page, there is one takeaway that I want you to walk away with after you watch every single one of my videos. And it is that the state of Israel does not have a right to exist, and it absolutely cannot continue to exist. And I realized that this is something that needs to be said out loud many times over because I have been reflecting on past conversations and friendships that I used to have, specifically about all the things that I brushed off or let go of as a Palestinian that were actually a betrayal to who I am and what I believe in order to make other people comfortable or to save friendships that I thought were going to be lifelong. Obviously, that proved to not be true, and I will never be doing that again. So you said this friend whose partner was Jewish American because they were Jewish and I was Palestinian, unaware of the fact that it's because he was actually a Zionist. They absolutely had no idea how to appropriately behave in my presence, especially when I started making content online. And one of the things that would happen every time we were around each other was they would jokingly or lovingly make fun of me for my entire presence on the internet being all about Palestine. They would say things like, I know you hate the Jews, but right before they started a conversation with me. If we were taking a group photo together, instead of saying cheese, they would say things like, go Israel. It was almost like a tick. Like they couldn't help themselves but say these things in front of me. Eventually, when the friend had asked their partner to stop doing this, I got a text message saying that they were so sorry that they continued to do this in my presence. They didn't know why they did it, but maybe it was because after spending their entire life being raised to see Israel for the greatness that it was for the Jewish community and to see it as a sort of salvation and pride for the Jewish community, that it was really hard to watch them in recent years become the bad actor. Now, I admittedly probably give people a little bit too much grace when it comes to learning and unlearning things in this life, but I'm going to keep doing that anyway. And instead of in that moment giving them the hard truth about what Israel is and the reality of Israel, I decided to instead let them know that I understood how painful it can be to unlearn things that we were brought up to believe as truth and offer them a conversation in the future, if they were ready for it, about what happened to Palestine and Palestinians, and specifically what happened to my family in 1948, an offer that they never responded to and never took me up on. In that moment, it clicked for me that I will forever have to remind people that the existence of Israel has always and will always be dangerous and violent, especially for the people who do not understand colonialism. I bring this up now because I think it's important to understand why myself and so many other Palestinians are actively ensuring that the general public does not get caught up or distracted by protests happening by Israelis currently because of what's happening in Gaza. If you don't know what protests I'm talking about, it's the ones asking Israel to stop bombing Gaza because there are still hostages inside of Gaza. They are the protests for the removal of Netanyahu and this right-wing government that they claim is currently in power that is now borderline affecting the rights of Israeli citizens. Because this does nothing but play into that incorrect mindset that Israel was once good and what's happening right now is because of a corrupt government administration. But this has always been Israel. It has always been violent. It has always been murderous. It has always been ethnically cleansing us. It has always been genociding us. And the removal of Netanyahu and a change in government will never change that, because this is what Israel is at its core. And these protests didn't happen until it was Israeli rights that were threatened and Israeli lives that were on the line. So there is no going back to whatever people think Israel was before the genocide in Gaza, because this has always been Israel. Israel has always been genociding Palestinians. And so every time you watch a video of mine, before you swipe to the next one or before you close out the app, you need to say to yourself, wow, this is why Israel can no longer exist. Wow, this is why Israel has no right to exist. Wow, there is no saving Israel and therefore it can no longer exist. Wow, the existence of Israel is so dangerous for the world at large and can no longer exist. Because remember, Palestine is the precursor for what the rest of the world will look like if we allow them to get away with this and continue existing. Because if we as a society can still prioritize a football game and whoever Taylor Swift is making out with on the football field, while a genocide is being live streamed through our cell phones simultaneously, it's a very scary road that we're going down. Anyway, just felt like sharing that reminder, and free Palestine.